Hello, so I'm Cody McTaggart. Um, so this is the week 4. Um, basically, you're the routing, making a plan for a hike. So I did I did a trail from Lutsen to Grand Marais in the Superior National Forest, and it's got 4 sections, I believe. There's 4 sections with a total length of 35.2 miles from Lutsen to Grand Marais itself, and I just did on one of the sections of the trail, which is about 11 miles from one end to the other. And so this is what I did as just the section of that trail itself. Is I was just going to do that section, which is called Caribou Trail to Cascade River State Park. And so I did, it was going to be a 3-day, 2-night hike basically for more of a beginner hiker. And what they say is beginner hikers average about 1 mile hiked per hour due to taking pictures and just water breaks in general and just, talking, taking your time. So with 11 miles total and 3 days of hiking, it makes it just over 3.5 miles per day. So this allows you to take your time during the hike and also spend quality time in the evening and in the morning. If you want to sleep in, it gives time for that. But it just gave a lot of time during the day in the hiking itself. You didn't have to be making these miles by a certain time to get to camp before dark. You're not setting up in the dark. You've got pretty much all day to be hiking and then taking pictures and just taking your time. You're not in a rush. And so the topography of it is it follows maple ridge lines with lookouts overviewing Lake Superior. Here's a map of it that I have. This was the map itself. It's about like that. Goes from one end to the other. And there's parking on both sides. Water sources on the trail, I really didn't find much, so I would be saying bring some sort of water purification, whether it's iodine or your life straw, or just enough water in general in bottles. But I didn't notice too many sources besides the river. Once you got to that side, you could use the river. But for the majority of the trail, I don't see much water sources whatsoever. There is an overlook right at the beginning of the one trail called White Sky Rock. There's Lake Angus and also Cascade Falls once you're on the river. For lunch sites, so there is 7 total campsites on the trail itself. And I had put these lunch breaks and lunch sites also on campsites. So it kind of worked good because every 2 is about 3 miles, right around there. It's roughly spaced out pretty evenly around the solid 11 miles. So that worked good. But the day 1, there's a John Vick Creek campsite, which is probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles out from the beginning of the trail. So I figured that'd be a good spot for your lunch break, midday, So start there. So now on to topography after explaining the length of it, the actual trail itself, is it basically follows maple ridge lines across the top of a crescent, basically off of a hill. And it basically overlooks Lake Superior as you go north towards Grand Marais from Lutsen. It just follows this ridge line all the way up, and you're able to overlook Lake Superior the entire way almost, with a lookout in one area right at the beginning of the trail called White Sky Rock Overlook. you go past Lake Angus, which is one area you can stop, and then Cascade Falls. Once you hit towards the northern end of this section, you run up along the river, and you're able to see Cascade Falls right then and there. And I can show you this map here, and also there's 11 campsites within the trail, and this is what I used for the lunch sites too, is they're spaced almost evenly all throughout the trails. So the first campsite you'd pass, I said you'd take your lunch at, and then the second campsite you got to in your day, that's the one you'd stay at for the night. So you're only staying at 2, which was, for the first night you were at Spruce Creek, and the second one you were at Trout Creek, which is right on the corners here. So there's the map. This is Spruce Creek, the first night, and then Trout Creek's right on the corner there. And I had put the lunches as right here as John Vick Creek would be the first lunch. For the first day, you'd hike from that parking spot, which there's White Sky Rock. You'd hike down, take your lunch at John Vick Creek, and then continue throughout the day, end up at Spruce Creek, and camp there for the night. The second day, you'd start off, you'd take your lunch at Indian Camp Creek, and then enjoy some time there. Just travel a short distance up to Trout Creek then on the corner there, and that's where you'd be staying the second night. Now on the third day, you'd travel up, just up to Big Pine here. You'd have your nice little stop break. You run up to Cut Log, and you could take another break, and you can travel up to the parking spot there to be picked up. So you'd park a car. You'd drive up 61, park your car up at the top, and then drive back down to the beginning with another car, and then drive yourself back up or down once you'd hiked it. So that was the whole plan of the campsites and where you're staying at night. You could also do that at the end there, going from Trout Creek, taking a lunch at Big Pine, staying at Cut Log, and then hiking up to the parking spot the next day. Water sources on the trail, I didn't find much outside of that, the river. Once you hit the river, you obviously can use that, whether you're bringing iodine or a life straw. You're going to want some sort of purification, obviously, but that's the only source of water I seen on that trail, because, like I said before, you're on the top of a ridgeline, so that's kind of a tricky thing to ask for. I explained lunch sites and camping, where you're actually, like, the campsites themselves. Your hours of daylight are probably 12 to 13 now. If you were to go to do this hike in a time like now, it's about 12 to 13. As summer progresses, your days get longer, but right now about 12 to 13 hours per day is what sunlight is, or daylight. Time to take down a setup at camp. It would obviously depend on your size of the group and your amount of equipment you're taking, but I would allow about 45 minutes to an hour for like a 4-person group with 2 tents to unpack, set up for the night, and be able to settle in and be comfortable, not including meal times, because obviously cooking, cleaning dishes, and everything like that would take a little more. But if we're strictly unpacking, setting up tents, getting ready just to sleep, and then sitting down by the fire, probably 45 minutes to an hour, just to give yourself time, no rushing anything, because that's not something you probably want to rush. Same within the morning, probably figure about the same time, maybe a little extra time, because you're cooking breakfast and you're still going to be cleaning that. But outside of cooking dinner or breakfast, whether it's at night or in the morning, probably about 45 minutes to an hour for a 4-person, 2-tent group to unpack, set up, or disassemble and pack up. Your put-in and takeouts was right off Highway 61 for the south or the southern, where you're putting in the southern spot. You're turning off Highway 61 on 92, and you're turning left on Cook Road, and you go 4 miles up to County Road 94, and you turn right and immediately turn left into the trailhead parking lot. For the northern one, you're taking Highway 61 up and then hopping onto County Road 45 over, and then you're just coming over and you'll see the trailhead there. Your campsites, there are 3 campsites that we will use. So to finish this up, there's no permits needed. Animals are allowed, no pack animals or livestock though, so your normal dog would be just fine to take on there. Obviously cleaning up after itself would be what you would have to do. You'd be bringing the poop bags. Yeah, like I said, no permits or fees, and this is the Superior National Forest. So that is one thing nice about Superior National Forest, is you didn't have to have any permits whatsoever, or no fees. There's nothing. Overnight parking in the parking spots are fine. I have done the Oberg loop there on Oberg Mountain, and that was probably, I don't know, 2 years ago I believe I did that. And that was a really nice trail that was on this Superior National Forest trail. Not between Lutsen and Grand Marais, I don't think so. It's somewhere up there, might be by Tofty, I think. I think it's just past Tofty. But that was my experience with the Superior National Forest, and I enjoyed it. It was awesome. It was just a day hike that I had done, but again, beautiful trails there. That followed a ridgeline, maple ridgeline on the top of a big, massive hill. You get to the top, and it does a loop all the way around, and you have a 360-degree basically, and obviously 180 of that is Lake Superior, which is very pretty early mornings. So that would be my week 4 plan to a backpack trip. Yeah, I guess I didn't put like food in there, I guess, but obviously you're needing 3 meals a day. Your honeycombs, those are the stingers, those are always good to have too for extra boosts of energy. Water, Gatorade, bring that stuff too. Otherwise I had planned, parking at the bottom, 1 car, parking 1 at the top. That way when you start from the bottom, hike north, you get to the top, you guys can all hop in 1 vehicle, drive back down, and unload your gear, split between the 2 vehicles, and up you go to back home wherever you came from. But yeah, thank you.